Good evening, Wisconsin, and everybody else across the Midwest who is hopping in. Actually, I forgot last time we were on, we had Canadians. Shout out to everybody, wherever you may be checking in from. What is on the hat? Nothing anymore because I'm a dad now and I notice these things. So, shout out to my wife and my child for everything they did. Everything went great. Appreciate you guys. I got a lot of heartfelt messages, a lot of support from all you guys and ladies over the last few weeks. Everything went really well. Baby's doing great. Super awesome. I definitely think I was made to be a dad. So excited about that. We got the regulars in here. Appreciate you guys. We got Jill. We got Randy. We got Heath. Good evening, folks. Thank you for stopping out. It is the podcast eve of Hempfest, if that's a thing, right? It's the last podcast for Hempfest. I think that's how that works. Heather's here. We got to get a picture with the blankie. The baby likes a blankie. She's had about 50 different blankets because when I go from room to room, I forget to bring it or I forget the nook. I'm learning, but I got to get a picture of that. Thank you, Jill, for the congratulations. Much love to everybody. Super excited about being back on the podcast. Shout out to the fine folks at Ignite Dispensary for being the sponsor of the show. They're actually going to be at the table, the booth with us for Hempfest. They are bringing like 160 drinks to give away, which is super awesome. We're going to have a little wheelie spin, win prizes. Again, reminder, Hempfest is now free. Shout out to that situation. Getting things back at no charge. So any and all can attend down in Madison. Again, that is this weekend. Let me just pull up my notes on that real quick. We have got 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday at James Madison Park. We've got the educational panels. I'll be running 4 different panels, moderating those. Looking forward to that. Please check out the website for any information if there's a specific panel you wanted to get to. Lots of great guests from all over the U.S. We've got that runs 12 to 4, and then the March to the Capitol is on Sunday. That starts at 4:20. Do not miss that. Probably be about a half an hour to get to the Capitol, and then we're going to have some speakers, and really looking forward to that as well. Heather's going to be there. Let's go. Appreciate it, guys. So, without further ado, super excited about tonight's guest on the podcast, a gentleman who's spent some time helping us live the lifestyle we do by serving for this country. Much respect for him in that and what he does now in helping veterans get access to the information on the different kinds of natural substances. Dang it, I hate using substances because that to me right away goes to, controlled substances, but the natural medicines out there. Just an overall great guy. We're going to get Eric in here because watch, we got a little magic here, folks. Boom. Eric's here. What's up, Eric? How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining the show, Eric. I had a great chance to catch up with you and kind of hear your background and your story on your journey that brought you to where you are today. Maybe we'll start with that. Just if you want to introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what got you into what you're doing today.
Well, a little bit of background. After high school, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, so I joined the service. I had family in the Marines, so I figured I'd go right in the Marine Corps. Just wanted to actually see some combat. Don't know why I decided to go infantry. Just figured, why not? Anyways, went to boot camp at the end of 2008. I was attached to 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines in 29 Palms, California. Early 2010, we found out we were going to be deploying to Afghanistan, so I was 19 years old. Getting ready to go, said goodbye to my family. Not even 2 weeks in the country, I hit a vehicle-borne IED, 120 pounder, kind of rocked the head a little bit. That was early on. And then the rest of the deployment was kinetic as well. Came back for less than 12 months and had to go back to the same area. And then by that time, I was just about getting out in 2013. And just like a lot of veterans, just my only option was going to the VA and trusting doctors, trusting Western medicine. But yeah, we can kind of go from there.
Right on. Real quick, I think it's is it my screen or your camera? I think is maybe just a little movable. Is your camera like moving by chance?
Oh, maybe I'm on a table. I'm probably with my hand. Sorry.
Oh, I know that, dude. My knee, I knocked the fan over earlier today, so no worries. You're good, man. I was just sometimes when we hook this thing up, we got all kinds of issues. So as long as it's not software related, we're good to go. Well, no, right on, man. Appreciate you joining the show, and again, appreciate your service. and really speaking up for helping these helping people find ways to medication that is not necessarily man-made or man, I just hear so many stories about unfortunate situations where people and I think something that just gets overlooked a ton because we can we can guess. But when you talk about like prescription pills and you try to follow the money, like it's just crazy, right? So when
Yep.
the doctor prescribes medication to help with X, but it affects YZ, but then they give you another medication to help with YZ, but then XYZ pop, like it's just it's awesome that you're really advocating for something so simple and something that is something people can grow, right? Like I think we share the same passion for the plant. So let's chop it up here. Um, what kind of helped you? Like, was I want to touch a little bit on the journey. Was it the journey from your service, serving as a Marine, to where you are in the cannabis space today? Was that more so cannabis worked to help you in some sort of fashion, and then seeing your friends and your comrades and saying, "Hey, I need to help educate these folks," or was it something you kind of thought going into it, or where did that kind of spurt to as far as like being a part of an organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll kind of fill you in from after I got out of the Marine Corps in 2013. So I started using my GI Bill, went to school, wanted to be a cop, figured that was an easy transition, infantry, Afghanistan. It's kind of like just a simple stepping stone. So, but then I realized early on in 2014, it just, the constantly changing rules of engagement, stuff like that, just wasn't for me, the constant target on your back. So, I decided to start bartending in Green Bay. So, found out a lot of the years that I was just like really just kind of like drinking my memories away along with the medication, just stuff like that, masking it rather than actually digging down deep inside. So, well, the bartending kind of led me to like a managing type role. And then that led me to invest in a sushi restaurant local to Green Bay called Island Sushi. So I did that. And that went very, very well up until about 2017, which beginning of 2017 was when I first actually did discover cannabis for the first time. I was 27 years old. I was very, very conservative growing up, and then go from a conservative family right into the military. Obviously, all drugs are bad. Cannabis is bad, except what the doctors prescribe you because Western medicine knows all.
Right.
Chuckle. But so then, unfortunately, Easter morning 2017, my best friend lost his battle with mental health, unfortunately. So finding him was probably the worst thing that I've ever experienced. It was 20-fold worse than Afghanistan. Like I was at least a little mentally prepared for Afghanistan. I knew there was going to be combat. I knew there was risk of getting blown up and getting shot and ultimately losing my life. But when I'm out of that kind of environment and I come home to just that kind of like it's like out of body, like just trauma instantly. And calling his mother, calling my mother, calling all my family friends was the hardest thing I had to do. And it was very early in the morning on Easter when I found him. It was a little after 2 a.m. and didn't get a call back until about 6. So it's very that was probably the longest 4 hours of my life. But then I kept going back to the doctor, telling what was going on, and all of a sudden I'm just getting more and more and more pills, and it's just like what the heck? And I'm about to follow a lot of my brothers and sisters and doing the same thing, like taking the easy way out. Like it just seemed like it was the easy way. So I just kind of decided to give up my ownership in the restaurant. I moved down to Illinois with my old roommate from the Marine Corps, and down in Illinois, it was easy for me to get my medical cannabis card right away, and that's where I was able to actually like discover what dabs were, what even a vape pen, because in Wisconsin it was like so hard to even get any cannabis because it was like 2017, 2018,
True.
and I didn't know anything about it. So it was moving down to Illinois is where I've really, really got involved with like other veterans and cannabis groups, and that's what ultimately led to the group called Operation 1620, which military time is 420 for those that didn't put two and two together. Um, yeah, before I keep ranting, I'll let you interrupt for a little bit.
No, you're good, man.
But
And I really enjoy the logo that you guys have as well. It's pretty slick.
we do
Yeah.
have it trademarked, so
Yep. Right on. I was actually going to wear mine tonight, and I completely forgot. I guess that's part of learning to be a dad is put your wardrobe out ahead of time. I'm not just like flying by the seat of my pants as much anymore these days. So, but appreciate you hooking it up there. Definitely gonna be rocking that. Very slick logo, man. And I don't know the
I
wording
can't
is.
take credit for it though.
No, that's fine. That's
One of
fair.
our members that, which is to remain anonymous, he was the one that got the trademark going, and the
Appreciate
logo's
the
really
honesty. Appreciate the honesty. Um, you're good, man, and it's one of those things. Like I don't know the correct wording because obviously, ideally, you wouldn't have had such a kind of such a an experience that kind of jump started that, right? Like obviously, that's really a life changing experience. But to find something that you're passionate about and to figure out a way to again not just find that cannabis works for you. That's step 1A, right? But taking that to the step 2, 3, 4, which is even though Wisconsin says this isn't legal, I'm going to do what I can to try to help other people because that's that I much respect, man. That's what it's about. That's what got me here. And I just can tell in our conversation, we that's who we are. And that's just very respectable. So appreciate again your service and that of your our fellow soldiers for us Americans. We're getting a lot of comments on that.
Hey,
We
you're worth
got
it.
yeah, definitely. We got a question here. How did your military experience, particularly your deployments during Operation Enduring Freedom, shape your outlook on life and leadership?
That just really kind of gave me a different outlook on life. Like coming from a small town like Green Bay, I mean, I went to a couple of states every now and then, but definitely leaving the country as a teenager and getting full blown third world experience just kind of made you appreciate the little things back home. Like we didn't have any plumbing or roads or electricity on our little patrol bases because I mean I was an infantry unit, no more than depending where you are, 20 to 45 to a little patrol base. So it's very small. You get to appreciate that these people are all just trying to live. They're just, from sun up to sundown, just trying to survive. And it's like I've never had to survive back in my hometown. So it just kind of gave me a different like realization through the years that like once I like sat with myself over the years, it's like, wow, like it's easy to talk myself down when I feel depressed or whatever. And I'm like, this is the first world problem. Like there are people all over the world that would love to have my American problems. And it's just, it kind of grounds me a little bit and just brings me back down. So it's definitely having a different outlook on life helped me with my going forward.
Sure, helps you. Mine is nowhere near your experience, but I did. Growing up, we went to our cabin a lot, and in the winter, we didn't have running water, and even just that little was just like you come home and it's like, oh my god, water, like things we just never even think about and taking for granted. So I can only imagine, being away from those essentials of life that are just at the flick of our fingertips. Really kind of like you said, grounding yourself. And I would think that's probably something that helped you realize too, like sometimes there are simple answers or solutions out there, right? Maybe that helped change your mindset and get you prepared for, okay, cannabis is just a plant, let's try it type thing. You know what I mean? I think sometimes in our day to day, in the current state of affairs in the world, it's everything's complicated. We're kind of talking about Chat GPT. I was just talking to my wife. Oh my God, there was a super. Oh, so, sorry, ADHD moment, but it's going to tie in here. So my mom was here to meet the baby Harper, and she was just telling some stories and. She was joking. She's like, "So you can get her ears pierced?" And I was like, "I don't know." I don't know. And then I remember my mom back in the day told me I could get my ears pierced when I wanted to. Right? She's like, "Sure, you can." When it snows in July, and I'm like, is that even possible? I remember looking through encyclopedias forever because where the heck do you look? Google, ChatGPT or Google would take you half a second. But back in the day, where do you find that in an encyclopedia? But now here we are in this world where, again, I feel like self-driving cars and it's like everything is just so complicated. But sometimes I think it's the simple things that really get us back to humans and who we are. Doesn't always have to be complicated, right? Um, but yeah, we got a couple. What we got here? We've got a couple people saying thank you for your service. Sarah says thank you for helping me get my meds. Um, Joa says being a person with TBI and pain, such a simple helps and should be treated better. Agree with that. Sarah says,
Someone has a diagnosed with traumatic brain injury and PTSD and clinical
right,
depression, severe anxiety, all of that. I get it.
sure, I bet, I bet. Sarah says, I know several dispensaries in Menominee give discounts to veterans. That is awesome.
That
We
is
got,
true. I have a good relationship with the Rise dispensaries. They actually double their veteran discount for BVN members, which is
oh, awesome.
very nice. They also carry all of our merchandise in their stores. Their bud tenders know all about the organization. They're actually one of our best partners.
Okay,
Trying to
right
get
on.
more and
That's
more and
awesome.
more in head shops, dispensaries.
Sure. Working together. That's awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Nick says hello. He's here. Um, looks like Sarah might have knee surgery. Oh no, cannabis is all I'm taking for it. Felt that. Thank you for the congratulations, Ken. Appreciate that. Nick says happy pre-fest eve, pre-eve to
I'm
Hempfest. So
jealous you're going to that.
he's on it. Sarah says looking forward to it. We yeah, see that word forward meant something once, right? And then tactical smoke break says outside of your service to our country, Eric, I want to thank you for helping so many. Felt that. I can get on board with that as well. Real quick, let's kind of switch back to a question we had here for you, bud. We got, can you talk about Operation 1620 and how your involvement began through Breakfast Buds? What does the organization mean to you? And again, that this is just a snippet I found when I was kind of reading about you. So,
Yeah.
if you want to kind of
So
share that,
yeah, that's how I first got introduced to Operation 1620 was my buddy was like, hey, there's this event called Breakfast Buds. It's just me kind of summarized it easily that it's a bunch of stoners just grabbing food and talking to each other, gonna go to a dispensary afterwards, and we got a little bit of funding for, meeting up at a park afterwards or somebody's house and just kind of like, consuming it.
sure,
In Illinois it's legal, so that was just very nice. And then that just kind of led me to keep kind of wanting to get involved and try to go to events. And initially I was reached out to take care of all of our merchandise and swag and kind of run the online store and order fulfillment type deal because um, the op 1620 president, it was getting just a little too much for him. He was having a baby as well, so I was like, hey, I'll take over all the merchandise from you. So I've been a part of it since I think my first Breakfast Buds meeting was 2019 or 2020. I forget the time frame, right around there.
awesome. If it'd be pretty neat if we could get something like that going here in Wisconsin one day. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
definitely
cool.
want to.
That sounds like a great approach to things. I think oftentimes, when you think of going, like I don't go to the bar, I don't like going and getting loud and obnoxious and all that. But
Mhm.
man, I just if there was a place to go to hang out, so like my social life is very minimal. I'll have a campfire at the house here or that kind of stuff. But if I could go to a place and enjoy cannabis, relax, brainstorm, be creative, just chill with our kind of people, right? Like that's
We actually have we have that every year in Washington D.C. We do the National Cannabis Festival out there. It's at the RFK Stadium. We always have a 40 by 40 lounge, and then there's a 20 by 40 area that's kind of like blocked off for veterans to come and escape the crowd, smoke and joke, exactly do all of that. So I've been doing that for 5 years now. Actually, no, 4 years. I've been doing the DC Fest. So
okay.
it's just like a perfect opportunity because that's how you actually get to like chat with veterans
Sure.
and ultimately just talk about, hey, how do you find balance in life? We're both here. Let's stay alive as long as we can. Let's talk about it. Let's
That's
get the
awesome.
conversation going. Like, and
Sure.
just seeing that logo, seeing Veterans Lounge, and veterans are like, a lot of us are get overwhelmed with crowds or like close spaces, especially if you're getting bumped into. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot. No,
So you just want that safe space for veterans to come together and just smoke and joke.
heard that. Heard that. Joe says every spot needs a dig dug game. There you go. That'd be pretty dope. Just a heads up to you guys, I did find out some pretty awesome stuff. There's going to be at Hempfest. Bree, who is awesome, the marketing director, volunteer. She has a camper she drives around and does podcasts out of, sits down with people, which I would love to do one day. Bree knows I might steal her idea that way. But that said camper is going to be set up at the James Madison Park, and there is going to be dabs and pre rolls that come with some kind of like you just pay a flat fee, and then you can stop at any time there, chat it up, smoke with some other people, that kind of stuff. So that'll be pretty neat. Madison's pretty nice as far as open consumption goes. So again, which is kind of weird in this state, but that's just how Wisconsin is. We'll take what we can. and go from there. We had a question here, sir. We had, how do you balance your role in government affairs with your work as a merchandise coordinator for BVN? What does a typical day look like for you? Is it like it's focusing on? Oh, that would be way too easy. I think I can answer this already. I'm assuming it's not like 3 days a week I'm in just touching merchandise, and then 2 weeks we're reaching out to senators and that. I'm going to assume it's like anything else that seems to be involved with trying to get people to hear you about cannabis. And it's just, oh, we got to do this week, even though we thought we were going to do that kind of thing. But what's a normal day to day look like?
Every day I'm checking the store multiple times, seeing if people are ordering merchandise. I'm still handling all of that right now, but I'm luckily going to be handing that off in the next couple months just to relieve me of that duty, and I can just focus on a lot of other things like actually getting our merchandise in dispensaries like Rise. I want to partner with as many as I can, so it's kind of every trip I kind of go on, I make sure to stop at a few places, just kind of chit chat, drop off some, literature, and hey, here's who we are. Here's how, like, if I can set up a manager with or a meeting with the managers, just kind of figure out how we can partner together and help get the word out to the veterans about our organization. But let me see, just like kind of coordinating events coming up. Like we have the military influencer conference next week in Atlanta. That's been getting emails all week with that, knowing where we're going, the setups, the events, or the speaker events that are going on, especially afterwards with the after party meet, or not after party meetings, but after event meetings. Those are the ones that you're going to have the best connections with. So it's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, we've been really, really busy the entire month of July. We were in Washington, D.C. multiple weeks just advocating for, at the time was the FDA's vote regarding MDMA assisted therapy that happened on August 11th. But we can kind of go into that with later questions.
Okay, right on. We did have a comment from a fellow service member here as well. Nick says, as also being a military veteran, PTSD and ADHD can be overwhelming for my wife to deal with. I do CrossFit workouts 5 times a week and smoke a few bowls with my wife every night. That's awesome. And that definitely goes against the stigma out there that some people have, which is if you use cannabis, you're super lazy.
Right.
If anything, especially for me with ADHD, it helps me remember and be able to focus on, oh, let's take care of ourselves instead of just
Because
a million
a
things.
little back check for BVN. BVN stands for Balanced Veterans Network, and essentially our mission is to educate, advocate, and support veterans access to alternative therapies, and come together and talk about how you find balance, because veterans find balance in so many different ways. We just had that comment about the CrossFitter. Like, that's a perfect way. Like, get out there and move, get out there and go rucking, go running, CrossFit gym. Like, we just want that safe space to talk how you find balance in all sorts of ways, because it's not just cannabis. It's not just this and that. It's, for a lot of veterans, they're finding a lot of alternative medicines and a lot of very beneficial natural.
Sure. That's awesome. And actually, I've when I was fortunate enough to be a part of the ICIA, the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association, had a conference, and it was really cool to just see some of the tribal members were just explaining how, like, a lot of the elders are kind of set in their ways, just like any other group of people out there. But especially when it came to cannabis, and kind of, cannabis is not the way. But then they had quite a few awesome veterans who spoke and explained, some really personal, and just let it all out there and explain what it does and what they were experiencing when they weren't using cannabis. And so I feel like it's something that it needs to be talked about from people who are comfortable talking about it. So to have, especially to have like a network, like just having network in the name, to me, and I by no means am strong enough or don't have enough. Like, I am not a veteran. I am not, I wish I could be or could have been, or that kind of stuff, that kind of way. But the drive and the passion that those people have, we need to take care of those people. I mean, priority A1, as far as what can we do to help, right? Like you said, you knew going into it, you were risking your life. That is just those are people we need to protect, right? It's crazy. We've got Sarah says it stops the squirrels. That would be a good way to put it, right? Cannabis stops the squirrels. Tactical says, as a veteran, it helps me instantly calm down. That's kind of what a lot of people are explaining as well.
That was my biggest thing right away when I started using cannabis, was because, like, obviously after finding my best friend, I'm having constant panic attacks, just crying, getting very emotional, and it's like I didn't want to pop a pill to calm down and just kind of mask it. Like, I mean, it was masking in a way when I would like take a puff, but it's a lot better than taking medication. I found out.
No, for sure, I agree with that. We had a question here as well for you. We've got, what role do you think cannabis can play in the lives of veterans, particularly those facing challenges with PTSD or reintegration?
Well, I can only tell you from my kind of like personal experience. And it's kind of funny because like I was growing up and I was told it was a gateway drug, and for me it was a gateway drug when I first started using it, and I realized a little bit like, hey, this is like really helping a lot of my trauma issues. I just fully on board with it, and then it led me over the years to realize like, holy man, it's been since 1999. I think it was the last time that there was a treatment for PTSD, and I think it's like Zoloft and another Praxil. I don't even know what the pills are these days.
Sure.
But that just kind of like got me thinking, like, why is it doing, like, why are things this way? Like, what's the holdup? And then it's like, especially this year being on Capitol Hill, I learned so much that it's like, okay, they were able to vote on MDMA assisted therapy August 11th. And it was like, well, how did it take so long to get a vote on that? It got its breakthrough therapy designation back in 2017. And it took 7 years to get it voted on. And then through that, I'm realizing, oh, the Breakthrough Therapies Act that Senator Paul and Senator Booker put through would actually expedite that process, that when any kind of therapy, like let's say psilocybin assisted therapy, ayahuasca assisted therapy, get that breakthrough therapy designation, that would expedite the process. So it's a lot on the federal level right now that we're advocating for, just telling our stories, being on Capitol Hill, and just kind of like saying, hey, here's some facts right here. Like, it's just where's the PTSD cure? Like, there's a lot that veterans are learning, and a lot of times it's going to native land or leaving the country to heal, and that's really unacceptable. It's like we need these healing modalities here and accessible.
Agree with that, definitely, man. Real quick, Tactical had a comment here as well. He says it's a tactical smoke break for me, a way to think a little bit, taking a breather, and do the right thing. That's hey, that's where that name came from. All right, Tactical, I'm catching on. Excuse me. I think we've kind of touched on this one here. Yep, we have. Oh, here's a good one. What would you, Eric, what would you have to say to veterans who might be hesitant about cannabis due to stigma or lack of information?
Well, for a lot of people, it's breaking through that stigma. It's just kind of like talking about it, and then just like maybe sending them a couple YouTube videos, or like a good discussion about another veteran's success. And it's just like they're gonna keep hearing that. It's like a lot of veterans are having more success without a pill bottle than they are with it, because they're, instead of just like taking it because it's inconvenient, your anxiety, is like, okay, there's a better alternative option. You can, escape a little bit, breathe. Like, I like almost doing like a kind of like a box breathing drill when I consume cannabis. Like, kind of like inhale for 4 seconds, hold it, exhale for 4 seconds, hold it. Just kind of like a little. That's how I just kind of think about it. I definitely learned that when I left the country and consumed my ayahuasca.
Sure. No, right on. Where I forget, were you with Rogers or no? You weren't with. Were you with her? No.
No, but the irony of when you went on Aubrey Marcus's podcast, I was listening to it, and that's when I got the call saying I was confirmed to go.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. And like, to me, that's what's crazy about today's society. And I've touched on this quite a few times when it comes to politics with our listeners and that stuff too. Like, if there is anything out there that helps a person, okay, example, Aaron Rodgers. Do I agree with everything he says? No. Do I appreciate the fact that he just says how he feels and he doesn't feed you an answer that is what you're expecting? I super appreciate that, because I feel like that's what everybody in politics and in the celebrity world do. I have a lot of respect for him that kind of way. I'm not trying to start an Aaron Rodgers debate by any means, but if somebody finds something that works for them and they go on a retreat, do whatever they want, and then to have people like, oh, why, how, If it helps you, it helps you. Well, everybody's different, and it might even help you. Maybe you be less stressful, that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. That's just kind of my little rant there on that one. Nick says he has a nice view of the Madison Capitol on his way home. Right on. Maybe we'll catch you out there this weekend. Sarah says, as a former bud tender, we love the veterans and we'll answer any questions. That is awesome. I'm with you there, Bobby. The tactist says the VA should pay for my weed. That's yeah. I mean, one day I think if we keep Eric going at his thing here,
We look to our neighbors to the north and follow exactly what they're doing. Canada has it right. Their VA can prescribe cannabis to their
oh really?
veterans.
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
I did not know that. That is
yeah,
awesome.
they've got it right.
Cool. Good to know. Let's look forward here a little bit, Eric. Looking forward, what's next for you and your work with BVN and your overall advocacy for cannabis and veterans? What do you think your next year looks like? Let's take it that way, because I'm sure we could look at a really big picture too. But what do you kind of see over the next year? What's your kind of your main focus, or what are you really trying to tee up?
Well, just yesterday we had our CEO and another one of our lead members in New York City at the Last Prisoner Project Gala. So the Last Prisoner Project, their mission is to get anyone incarcerated out of jail. Essentially, I mean, for minor violations, anything dealing with cannabis, just getting them out. They were part of a coalition that I was with on 420 week at Capitol Hill, advocating for cannabis. Um, and then, like I said, we have the Military Influencer Conference in Atlanta this week. I'll be there tabling it, so that'll be a really nice experience. And then the following weekend, which is the 5th and 6th, we'll have teams out in Pennsylvania for the Pennsylvania Cannabis Festival that we do twice a year out there in Kutztown. It's a little village outside Allentown. But then, as far as legislation and Capitol Hill stuff, just with the upcoming election and for everyone, congressmen, senators, and presidency, it's just kind of at a standstill right now. We're going to wait to see essentially what happens and then kind of go from there. We're still going to be, getting with any veteran coalition group we can, and, any other veteran service organizations out there, just kind of get together and tell our story, march on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
That's awesome. Sarah's kind of got a tie into this too, real quick. She says, "What can you suggest for like listeners or followers of Let's Legalize Wisconsin? What can they do to help you, or just to help in general, or to help your organization?" She says she talks all the time about her medical records, her work, and she writes to the government. Is that what you would suggest? Or is there anything else they can do to kind of tie in with you?
What was the question again? I was kind of confused a little bit.
What can you suggest for followers do to help? Followers of the people listening to the Tonight Show, or people who'll be checking out the replay here over the next couple of days on social media. What can they do to help you in your mission?
I'll just spread the word, purchase some merchandise from the store, wear it around, just get talking that there's a good group out there that veterans can come together and find balance. We all just want to keep each other alive. Like it's every veteran should be at that point right now where it's like you got to stop comparing your traumas, like back and forth. That's one of the worst things that you can do, is just kind of like mope around and just be like, and almost blame the external factors. But kind of that's a big thing that I learned, was my trauma is not worse than anyone else's trauma. Like my Afghanistan trauma is not worse than any sexual trauma that one of my sisters faced in the military, or even like my brothers faced in the military. Like there's a lot of male on male sexual trauma too that I didn't like really realize, or how much that impacted people. Like because I went with 10 other veterans down to Mexico for my ayahuasca ceremony, so it was just a very eye-opening experience down there, and just
Hearing the different stuff.
yeah.
Nope, I feel you there,
It's
man.
just like it's just kind of just talking about how you find balance in life, rather than talking about your trauma, and just being able to move forward the best you can. Like I know that's so much easier said than done, and I've been blessed more than other veterans to actually be able to like sit with myself internally and heal. And it's not an easy process. Healing from within is not easy at all, but it's just so easy to listen to the VA and your doctors, Western medicine, just kind of mask it for a few hours and then
Sure.
be a good boy and take your pills.
Right, and it's hard to say what the percentage is, but I would think the overwhelming majority of folks that carry that trauma, it's trying to, like you say, internalize. I feel like internalizing a lot of times, especially for me, just in my day to day, I can be my worst enemy, because I can get caught up and then I'm not good enough, or that, so I feel like, I feel like just cannabis in general, and the creative or the experience of relaxing a little bit, the tension or the pain, some of the PTSD, like I think that would be that great. I think it takes a team to heal, in many cases. So to be able to readily have, you're kind of banding arms, while not being overseas. It's almost, kind of a similar but not the same approach of, hey, we got you. Let's talk some things, positive things. Let's look at, what are you doing next week? A network. I think your name is, the name of the organization is perfect for, I think, what you're trying to do. Excuse me. That kind of way. We got. Are you going to Hemp Fest? I think you were out of town, weren't you, this weekend, Eric? I don't think you were going to be able to make it.
I'm actually not out of town this weekend.
Okay. Are you going to
But
make
I'm
it down
not.
there?
I don't think so.
No. All right. No
Mm,
worries. We kind of got you on board a little late as far as,
Yeah, next
us
year I
meeting
definitely
you.
will.
Okay. Right on. We'll get you on a panel or two or something. So,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
Heather says,
No,
"Do be walks."
it's been like an absolutely crazy year for me. Like I was empowered way earlier in the year in February with a lot more responsibility and basically just kind of like take the realm. You know what you're doing. You know how to like promote the mission of the organization. So like I remember I think it was Friday morning before 420 in the morning. They were like, does anybody have any contacts with any congressmen, senators we can set up meetings with? And I was thinking like, oh my buddy's fiance has an aide or something, and I reached out to her and I was able to write Senator Hawley's office and actually get a meeting with him day of, which was kind of like clutch. That usually never happens like that. But then once I sent that first email and got those butterflies out and that anxiousness out, it was like, holy crap! I just like wrote the most professional email in my life with no college experience, and I got a reply back from a senator, and
That's
I've
awesome.
gotten it. Like, yeah, so that was just a really, really, really good weekend. And then in July, we were part of a whole veteran mental health coalition that I think there were 30 different veteran groups throughout the 3 weeks that we were on Capitol Hill. But General Jack Bergman, who represents the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, he's a three-star Marine Corps general. He actually sent our letter to his colleagues in regards to the MDMA assisted therapy vote, and 60 signatures he got back. And some of the information on there, like I talked about the PTSD stuff, but with the third phase of the Lycos group, their MDMA assisted therapy study, it was the numbers were 70, I think 71% of participants no longer qualified for PTSD with the PTSD designation. And I think 86% showed reduced symptoms. And this is all in the Lycos study group. Um, so those are just very beneficial like numbers. If it was just like a pill by itself, automatic
Exactly.
approval.
If it was a
But
man-made.
it's the assisted therapy part about a lot of these healings that the FDA is having a hard time with, because you need the doctors, you need the facilitators, you need to be in that actual assisted therapy setting. This is not like you're not just given MDMA, which is street name ecstasy or Molly, and going home with it. No, you have a lead up to that, a couple week process of a mentality to go into and knowing what you're getting into, and then the integration phase afterwards. That's one of the hardest things with any kind of healing modality is like, yeah, it's great. You're good for a week, good for a couple days, but then integrating what you learn and everything going back to reality isn't. That's the tough part is the integration phase.
Sure. Nope. Felt that, man.
And just like with veterans too, integrating back into the real world, that's hard.
No, I
Very
feel you, man.
difficult.
I can't even imagine. And again, if that those numbers of success, if that was a pill or something, that company would be green lit, gone to good to go. So again, I think
Yeah.
we need
So
some
General
guys like
Bergman
you.
sent that letter to the Biden administration, which was great. And then on the Senate side, we had Senator Bennett from Colorado send a same letter type deal, just different verbiage to his Senate colleagues, and we got 19 signatures on that. And
Awesome,
they sent that to the FDA and the health administrations and whatnot.
cool. I think anyone listening here, a lot of them are some very passionate advocates. I think they will be happy to know that part of our conversation that we had, Eric, when we met up for a nice meal, was we've kind of got you started on the Robin Voss trail. I think if somebody can get through to a guy like Robin Voss, I think we might need somebody like Eric. So we got a trail
I
started,
have
right?
no problems talking to anyone. No
Good deal,
fear.
man. I'm sure we'll get a few comments
Like
in here.
one of my
Tactical,
favorite meetings this year was with Senator Tommy Tupperville from Alabama. Just because
okay,
I like him as a football coach when he was
yeah,
with like Auburn and stuff like
sure,
that. And then um, his story about a lot of his football players using hyperbaric chambers for healing. He was like very open to us. He kind
yeah,
of understood. He's like, this isn't like my football players are talking about the same thing. This is the first time we've had veterans in here, talking about this too. So he's like right now, I'm not left or right. I need their vote in Congress. I need their help. I need them to bring alternative medicine back here legally, and what's scheduled as one needs to have some serious reconsiderations to be rescheduled. And that happens with the Breakthrough Therapies Act. That way that whenever, like I said, anything does get that designation as a breakthrough therapy, it can be expedited essentially because the vote on August 11th, it wasn't in our favor, but they didn't shut the door. They just called for one additional phase 3 study. So
okay,
Emory University in Atlanta is heading that up right now.
right on. Good deal. Tactical was wondering, Eric, what is your favorite way to consume? Getting a little personal here. A little personal.
I'm a bong guy, so I like my
Okay,
bubblers.
right on. One of these days when we get a little session, we'll have you tried the what is that thing called? The Stunden glass?
Ooh,
That little man.
I have a pretty big sovereignty piece. It was nice.
Okay.
Sovereignty, I forget.
Sovereignty. These folks don't mess around.
Oh, the
This
gravity
thing,
bong.
yeah.
Those can be
I
sick.
It's a bit much for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna act tougher than I am when it comes to that, man. Whoa, that was quite the experience. I think it has to do with I don't know the gravity bong setup, just the smoothness of it. I don't think I was realizing how much I was inhaling because it doesn't burn at all. There's no like, and I was just like, "Whoa, I need adult supervision if we're using that thing, honey. I gotta have my wife around." Now I got a kid, so we've got Tactical says he says part of the reason reintegration to society is hard, I believe, is that you can't square a fucker away. Yeah, that probably has something to do with it.
Nasty
Tactical said,
setting. Just
uh,
kidding.
tac- Tactical says he's a pipe and joint person. Right on. Nick likes his recyclers. Philip says, funny that where cannabis is legal, they are showing that insurance premiums are going down in those areas. Yeah, that is crazy, isn't it? Um,
Hey,
Contrary
places where
to
cannabis is legal, alcohol consumption, road fatalities, and just overall alcohol related incidents and relationships and anything is down in states where it legalizes it. Huh.
sure,
Someone's like,
like Joe.
alcohol might be bad for
Yeah,
you?
right. Oh man.
Maybe.
Joe says no one fights. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot less fight going on. Tactical says I was in Denver when it was legal and traffic got better. That's awesome. Um, there, I'm surprised we haven't smoked together yet. Joe says you can't put a rooster in a hen house. Fair. Heather is a joint and pipe person. I'm a dog walker. I've been doing the more go for a little walker on
Those
the
are
block.
nice.
So just taking like a half gram. I was trying to slow things down a little bit while expecting a child. I wanted to make sure getting up in the middle of the night because my main relief I look for is to help to get to sleep. And obviously, I was just a little concerned. I don't wake up much, and before we had the kid, I don't wake up much. Let me rephrase that 100% right there. But knowing I was going to be waking up more, I just want to make sure I wasn't like super relaxed. I was just afraid if I dropped a baby, Eric, that would not be good. So I've cut it back to the dog walker. Kind of got my little sweet spot now. It is what it is. That kind of way. But I love the taste of smoke. I'm trying to quit smoking. Just thinking about having a kid and inhaling any kind of smoke. Trying to be ultra super safe. But man, I just love the taste of flower. I don't know about you, but I love the taste of flower. Excuse me. Clouds some days, yeah. Heather
Yeah, and
says
then
our dog.
another little background of BBN is we have five pillars essentially, and Operation 1620 is just one of them. That's our cannabis initiative, and like where states it's legal, veterans have to get their medical marijuana cards, and usually that's hefty fee, like, a few $100s a year, like whatever it is. And we do reimburse that. And like I told you, we work with dispensaries to get our our brand in there and then work with them like, oh, hey, you do offer a veteran discount. I appreciate that so much. Would you mind doubling it or adding another 5% on there? Like, just to emphasize, sign up and try to help veterans just network out and talk to each other. Because that's the best thing is like, you think you're alone with cannabis a lot and so many more people are using it. And it's hard to talk about. So that's why we wanted to have that safe space created for just
Sure.
exactly that, just starting the conversation. Like, because then it's like, oh, you're interested in microdosing mushrooms? What's that about? Oh, let's talk about it. Here's some links. Here's a good podcast. Here's actually a really good series on Netflix. Like,
Sure.
and that
There's a
just
lot of
gets the
stuff.
conversation going.
And I think that that's key too, because just like we were kind of talking about, the wealth of knowledge at our fingertips that is Google and Chat GPT, but it is overwhelming because there's so many different, so to have even just to have a couple links to share with somebody like that article you sent me when we were talking about microdosing, like half of my thing is just the intimidation of hitting that search and then, okay, which one has anybody I know and read this? Can anyone back? So I think that even something as simple as that being kind of that resource is a great approach. And also, Eric, just while we're talking, we should definitely reconvene here in a couple days going forward. I think we should have the BVN logo on if it's cool with you guys. Obviously, we can talk more about it, but I just got a bunch of flyers made up that we're going to be handing out down at HempFest. But when it comes to making that next batch, I'd love to include you guys for just getting more awareness for you guys and
Oh,
helping
absolutely.
get that out there. So I think we've got a lot of great opportunities between what we're trying to do. I really enjoy advocating and doing anything I can, especially in what got me here is seeing cannabis help folks that were coming to the stores I was working in. That got me super passionate about it. So like you are just like a reinvigoration of what got me into advocacy and let's legalize Wisconsin. So by all means, man, if there is anything in the future that I can help, knock on doors, go to dispensaries, whatever I can do to help you. I think we're both doing the same thing, but you're also a little more focused on people who really need it too. So really appreciate what you're doing, man. It seems that a lot of our followers appreciate what you're doing. You seem to be a pretty personable guy. Sometimes we're a little more quiet in the comment section, but that's not the case tonight. So appreciate everybody stopping out and having a little chat with us one day soon, because we're going to take that approach one day soon. We're going to be doing this, all these people here too, but it's not going to be virtually. We're going to be chilling at a lounge somewhere and we're going to be toking up and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be relaxing. And we're going to talk about, remember we used to have to like kind of go underground on the podcast with the beans, get Eric on there and talk about it. And hopefully don't get shut down on Facebook. Man, that was crazy. Like I can't imagine my daughter. Okay. She doesn't have to use cannabis. Okay. She's got a long way to go to figure that out. But can you imagine her when she's going to stumble across this? Hopefully I'll be able to tell her what I did with like trying to help legalize cannabis. But could you imagine like she's just 16, 17, and she stumbles across, what is my dad doing? What is,
Yeah.
she's going to be like, they had to do all that. And now it's available at Quick Trip. Like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
That was another big one was when I first discovered, especially psychedelics when I did my first mushroom trip and whatnot. Like, I tried to explain it to my family, and they were just so like, I wouldn't say disappointed, but they were just kind of like, I think they thought a little different of me. They thought I was going to go down a bad path because they were like,
Sure.
well, now he started using cannabis and now he's using mushrooms. And it's like, well, it was, first of all, my first psychedelic trip with mushroom was under the right circumstances. I did one of my closest friends watching over me and I just enjoyed it. It was a euphoria that I have not felt in a very long time. It just made me remember that I had happiness in me because this was the beginning of COVID. So it was like, yeah, cannabis was helping, but then the shutdown sucked. And then I actually left Illinois. That's when I moved back up to Wisconsin and did it for the first time.
That's awesome. That's cool, man.
And then a couple of years later was when I got that call saying, hey, you're leaving the country. I'm like, oh my God.
Right. Here we go. Tactical. I didn't catch it the first time, but he said we could call the lounge Legalized Wisconsin. That'd be pretty dope. I
Hey,
always wondered what the name change would be with Let's Legalize once it goes legal. That might be it. Legalized Wisconsin. But it would be
better get that going right now.
that's right. But it it's not legalized Wisconsin like by Bobby Beans. It would be legalized Wisconsin, and like there's going to be this epic wall. It's going to be everybody's name who's been a part of it because it is all of us. So appreciate everybody stopping out this evening. Eric, was there anything else? I'm going to drop a link to your website here real quick in the comments.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. Because we got a couple folks asking about that. You just have to add a D. Yeah. Legalized Wisconsin. I like it. Here is a link to Eric's website. We are the Balanced Veterans Network website. Got that shared across all of our platforms. Eric, I don't.
Is just bvn.vet.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Like veteran. Yep.
Sure. bvn.net. Right on. We might have to figure something out. Eric, I feel like that beautiful card display you have behind you there, and you yourself are made for something like this, which is talking to the people. So I don't know about these guys, but I think we got to get you on again here sometime soon. Really appreciate you, what you're doing, the story of you, your journey. Man, I'm just excited. Let me know anything you think of. Please hit me up, Eric. You are the man.
Yeah,
Let's do this. We're both in Green Bay. Let's make some fucking noise, man. Let's do it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for stopping out. Please have a great night. We'll catch you if you're going to be at HempFest. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week, Wednesday. Otherwise, we're out of here, folks. Have a great evening. Bobby Beans, out.